The Atlanta Braves get back into the win column with a 4-0 victory over the Athletics tonight, led by a fantastic start by Bryce Elder to open his 2026 season. I think we have to get it started with the Braves' big first inning. So after Bryce Elder puts them away 1-2-3 in the top of the first, the Braves go right out there, and Acuna draws a walk immediately. Everything was pitched to him outside to start this game. Missed fastball down the middle for a 3-1 count, or on the 3-1 count, but Acuna takes outside for ball 4. Lopez checked Acuna back, didn't really do anything. A lot of sliders away to Drake Baldwin. Another 3-1 count, and Baldwin just smokes a fastball low, and he drives Acuna only to second. It was a very hard hit. It would have been really difficult for Acuna to advance since he was driven to right. Ozzie does pop up on a slider. That is the first out of the inning. But then Matt Olson, after yesterday where the Braves just were getting robbed on, hits at 110 miles an hour, 108 miles an hour, this first inning was built off just putting the ball in play and seeing what happens. And Matt Olson, first pitch fastball he sees, he just takes it opposite field down the left field line. Barely is in, but it's on the line for a double. That scored Acuna, moved Baldwin to third, and that was 1-0 Braves. Looking back, in hindsight, that's all the Braves needed, but they decided to add a few more anyway. Riley opened up 1-1 again. Then he hits it hard to short, but the infield was in, so no opportunity to double up Olson at second. So the throw to first gets Riley. And it was actually kind of an interesting visual because the script A was peeling off of Riley's helmet. It was just kind of floating there. Kind of an interesting thing that the broadcast crew pointed out. Eli White got the start this game, and they starts out another 1-1 count. 2 sliders he saw. He chased one of them low. And then something that I noticed was Lopez was having a really hard time locating his fastball, but really even his slider and his cutter. Just not able to throw many strikes, and when he did, he was leaving it way too much over the plate. And so this count to Eli White goes full. There's a low slider, and that loaded the bases for Dubon. Another 1-1 count, a fastball high and a slider taken, and then 2 borderline calls go each way. Dubon lifts an inside pitch right over Kurtz's head, and that was able to score Baldwin and Olson, and that was only 61.1 miles per hour, and that made it 3-0 Braves. Heim took a walk on 5 pitches, and then Michael Harris comes up with the bases loaded, and he pops out on a slider away, and that's the third out. 3-0, but the Braves were able to hit around in the first. Top of the second, another inning where Bryce Elder looked really good. He made Brent Rooker roll over to Dubon for 1 out, and then there was another slider that he threw, and that was hit to Dubon. It was hard hit, but Dubon made a really good play, as he has done so far through 4 games for the Atlanta Braves. And then a 3-1 count, and Butler lined out an oppo to left for a single. That was on the cutter. That was the first hit of the day for Bryce Elder. But Bryce Elder was able to pick him off on the second move. That was a third out. Good tag by Matt Olson to get out of a jam. Acuna, he has a weird check swing that just is placed perfectly between the first baseman and the second baseman. He's able to hustle, and he gets a single out of it on an infield check swing. Baldwin pops up on a slider outside to the catcher there for the first out. And then Ronald steals second, and Ozzie hits a comebacker for the second out. And Matt Olson walks to make it 2 runners on, but Riley pops out to second to end the inning. Elder, though, really good. He was using all of his pitches tonight. The fastball, the cutter, the little slider, and his changeup were all on tonight. Nothing that the the Athletics, we can't call them Oakland anymore, can do about it. They do manage to get 2 runners on in the third, but just working out of it and just not really much hard hit contact. Elder keeps the ball in the infield for the most part and gets out of it. Skipping forward a little bit, the Braves tonight, I wanted to talk about Jonah Heim behind the plate a little bit. He was able to get 2 strikeouts, or 2 balls turned into strikes that turned into strikeouts for Bryce Elder tonight, or at least the Atlanta Braves pitching staff. So the ABS challenges finally starting to go the Atlanta's way, and came up in 2 big moments tonight, with an at-bat against Lawrence Butler being one of them. I wanted to talk a little bit more about Bryce Elder, and we'll get kind of more into the late game scoring, but the majority of the scoring was done in the first inning, like I mentioned. Elder tonight looked good. All of his pitches were doing what they were supposed to do. He wasn't catching much plate with the changeup and slider like he's known to do. Was a really well-located fastball, and the game was well called by Jonah Heim. Jonah Heim is, I know a lot of people were wondering why he was on this team after the spring he had, but if he can call a game like that, then the Braves are in good shape. Heim has caught 2 games this year, and he's not allowed to run. I think that's something definitely going to be an overlooked talking point. But Jonah Heim is a veteran catcher. He knows how to call a good game. And especially if Drake Baldwin is a really good defensive catcher in his own right, but he's still learning how to call a game. So Sean Murphy's going to be coming back soon, but if Jonah Heim is also there kind of teaching him the basics behind the plate of calling a good game for a pitching staff, I think that is a very underrated skill for a catcher to have. And, that might earn Jonah Heim a roster spot even after Sean Murphy comes back, just as the third catcher, especially if Baldwin and Murphy are going to be trading off catching and DHing every day. So definitely something to keep in mind. But Elder's stat line officially in this one, he went 6 innings, gave up 5 hits, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, no runs, no home runs. Keeps that 0 ERA on the season. The Braves in general, Bummer ran into a little bit of trouble in this one. A Dubon error, the first of the night, but turns it into a double play, gets out of it. 2 strikes, 2 strikeouts for Aaron Bummer in that one. So didn't turn into a Mauricio Dubon double play. Excuse me. That was later in the game. Robert Suarez, he gave up 1 hit and then managed to get some soft contact and do what he does best. He did allow someone to reach via error, but that's okay. Bryce Iglesias, another Dubon error, but he did erase that one with a double play. Braves won on Bryce Iglesias getting some soft contact. And that was kind of the name of the game tonight for Atlanta's pitching staff. Soft contact. They didn't overwhelm you with strikeout numbers. They only struck out 7. And this was an Athletics team that struck out quite a few times to start the season against the Toronto Blue Jays. Completely different style of pitching staff, though, especially considering Elder is your 4th starter and probably transitions into that 5th starter role once Spencer Strider is back. So, fantastic night for the Atlanta pitching staff. Really good game for Jonah Heim, calling the game behind the plate. Very good defensive night for him. Want to move into something that's a little bit more negative. The Braves have had a lot of base running errors so far. They were picked off twice tonight. Acuna and Ozzie Albies were both picked off at first. You saw 2 nights ago that Michael Harris was also picked off at first. There's been several caught stealings. The first actual successful stolen base attempt was tonight from Ronald Acuna. Got it against Shea Langeliers, who's not necessarily the best defensive catcher in terms of his arm. So the Braves were able to finally convert there. But they have made a lot of unnecessary outs on the base paths to start, but especially leading too big of leadoffs at first, not getting a good enough jump on their steals. And I know that the Braves want to be more aggressive this year on the base paths. That was something that Walt Weiss talked about, and it made a lot of sense with the coaches he picked up. But it really feels like Anton Richardson. I mean, he was really good last year for the New York Mets. He turned Juan Soto into a base stealing machine, but there needs to be more chemistry with the Braves' top guys and him, because I mean, Richardson, he's a fantastic coach, but something's not clicking so far to start the season for Atlanta. Maybe that's because a lot of the guys didn't spend much time in Major League Camp. They were at the World Baseball Classic. Ozzie Albies, who got thrown out tonight, Ronald Acuna Jr., who has gotten thrown out at first, and then picked off at first, thrown out at second already in this young season. So maybe just more time building chemistry, learning each guy. But that's a mistake that the Braves cannot continue to make. Despite winning 4-0, this was a pretty mistake-filled game for Atlanta. I mentioned Dubon's two routine errors. He made several really good plays in the field, but he also bobbled two very easy plays. And then there was a strike him out, throw him out double play where Langeliers was able to throw out Yastrzemski, and Acuna was picked off at first. Albies was picked off at first as well. So you're leaving runners on the table and just giving extra outs to both offensively and defensively to your opponent. And that worked out tonight because Bryce Elder and the rest of the pitching staff was fantastic, and you were able to score 3 runs in the first. But that's not going to help out later down the line. We go on to Mauricio Dubon. So he had an adventure. For someone who is marketed as a Gold Glove utility man who can play all over the diamond at a Gold Glove level, you know, he's going to hit right around the Mendoza line. That's kind of what was expected, told to us by Houston Astros fans. But they did say he's a fan favorite. Everyone loves him here in Houston. And we can see why. He's been fantastic for the Braves to start the season. But for someone who's been billed as a Gold Glove level shortstop, today was an adventure because he made one fantastic play to turn a double play to get Bryce Elder out of an inning. But at the same time, he dropped 2 very easy routine ground balls hit right to him. They just tried to bare hand, got on too fast, and just dropped them, bobbled it, wasn't able to make a throw. But with the bat, he picked himself up tonight. A 3-hit night for Mauricio Dubon. And he has been fantastic in an Atlanta Braves uniform. In 4 at-bats, he had 3 hits, the 1 strikeout. And he is hitting .400 on the young season with a .955 OPS. So that's only in a 3-game sample size for Mauricio Dubon, but he's been everything and more that he was advertised as. I know I labeled this section as Dubon's Wild Night, but I want to talk about Mike Yastrzemski again because he did not get the start with a lefty on the mound for the Athletics, but he was able to pinch hit for Eli White after the 3rd time through the order. He popped out immediately in that first at-bat, but the second at-bat he settled in, and he was able to hit one. I thought he was chop house bound, and it just goes over the head of the right fielder there, and he never stopped. He running stand-up triple for Mike Yastrzemski. They may take a look at that and call that an error, but I don't think the outfielder ever touched it, so probably going to stay a stand-up triple for Yastrzemski. And Dubon right behind him, just a bloop single into left to score him, and that was the 4th run of the night for the Atlanta Braves. Just a night with a lot of mistakes, but but the Braves took advantage just enough to win this game. The Athletics are very, very, they're on a very cold streak right now, and that was showing. They had no answer for Bryce Elder, and they got a little bit going against the Atlanta bullpen, but it was quickly erased every time they got any momentum. So the Braves take game 1 of this series against the Athletics. And looking at probable pitchers for tomorrow, got to pull up the site real quick. It'll be Aaron Civale versus Jose Suarez for Atlanta. Civale last year, coming off a season for 3 different teams, but not an amazing year until the end where he was in a Cubs uniform. He had a 2.08 ERA in 5 games for the Chicago Cubs, 1 save, but that's over 13 innings. Last year, kind of up and down. He was not good for Milwaukee or the Chicago White Sox, 4.91 ERA and a 5.37 ERA in much bigger sample sizes. So you never know what you're going to get with Civale, but if you look at his career stats, a 4.14 ERA in 738 innings pitched and a 121 whip. So something that can be hit for the Braves tomorrow if they're able to see him well. But you never really know what you're going to get with him, considering last year that he was both a Cy Young caliber pitcher for the Cubs and a guy who got cut from multiple organizations. Jose Suarez will get the start, the left, kind of the small left-hander for Atlanta. Last year for the Braves in 7 games at the major league level, he had in 19.1 innings pitched, he had a 1.86 ERA. So only one of those was a start, so kind of it'll be interesting to see the length he's able to go, but definitely a quality 5th starting option while Spencer Strider is on rehab. So that's tomorrow's game, and the Braves will look to win their 2nd straight series to start the year. So that's always the goal every time that you take the field. And if you enjoyed this show, I would love if you could like the video and subscribe, because it really does help me out. And I will be making an Atlanta Braves video for every game this season, or at least almost every game this season. I'm not going to guarantee you I'll win 62 plus, but I make good content, I think, and it really does help if you could subscribe if you enjoy it. So thank you all for watching this far, and I'll see you tomorrow night, hopefully after another Braves victory.